All right.
Good morning, everybody, or afternoon.
Welcome
However-
back to the Inking Out Loud podcast. This is episode 6. I am one of your hosts, Drew McCaffrey.
I am a co-host of Drew's, Rob Santos.
And our special guest, Jarrod Livingston, is back with us once again.
Yo.
Yes.
What's up, guys?
Today, we are finishing up-
Brotherhood of the Goddamn Wolf Part 2. That was a good ending. That was a damn good ending to a book. And I
Can I
can't
just say
wait to
something real
discuss
quick?
everything
I
about
love
it. What was that? Sorry?
when the title of the book is explained in like the last page
Yeah,
or like
I
the last
appreciated
sentence
that.
of the book.
Yeah.
So are we going to just start at that very last scene then? Here?
Should we? Shall we?
Because I do
Let's.
have something that I want to ask you guys about with it.
Okay. Hit me.
Like, did that work for you? That like...
I loved it, obviously.
Where it's just like the very last line. It's like, thus the Brotherhood of the Wolf was forged on that dark day. Even though it doesn't really like explain where they got the name. Or,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can extrapolate.
It gives it kind of the feeling of somebody in the future telling this story. Like,
Exactly.
again, at the very end of the book, when Mirama chooses to let Raj Otten get away, or she has to, let him escape, and it says, the narrative says specifically in that moment, she would never know how much she would come to regret that.
Yep.
And again, that kind of gives it the feeling of somebody in the future who knows what's going to happen, and they're just, relating this story as it unfolds.
Yeah. So, but you were okay with that kind of narrative choice?
I didn't like it for the first 5 seconds, but then I considered that. I was like, no, this kind of matches with a bit of the tone. So I came around on it. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
It was a good ending.
Jarrod, you liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a little iffy on that particular instance of it.
Sure.
For the most part, I think he gets away with it because he takes this sort of formal tone in a lot of his writing, and he routinely takes a step back in point of view, goes into more of an omniscient narrator to like
omniscient.
set
Thank
the
you.
scene.
That was the term I
so
was
to
looking
speak.
for.
And that's what this feels like. But that very last one though, I felt
Did it feel
my
awkward?
memory of the scene, because I haven't read this book in 7 or 8 years.
Right.
My memory of the scene was that they actually talked about the name in it, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, they didn't. But
Perhaps it happens very early in the third book, and you're just blending the two together in your head.
maybe
I don't know. I obviously haven't read it.
maybe, but I mean, I guess we'll find out when we get there. But
Oh, yeah.
I kind of had an idea, like, as you read through the book and Iome and Mirama started, indicating that they would take endowments from dogs. You kind of got the idea that this is the origin of the title, but
Yeah. It made a little more sense at the end there, yeah. Oh, by the way, the amount of notes I have for this, like, just discussion points for this episode has more than doubled since my last episode.
excellent.
So I have lots and lots I want to talk about today. A lot of impressions, a lot of
Before we
character
get into like
points.
the deeper stuff here, I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
one more point that I want to bring up.
Hit me.
Let me pull up my notes here.
Good.
So, I mentioned this during one of our episodes for Some of All Men, but there are a lot of typos in this.
Are there? See, I didn't. There's no way I
So,
could notice listening to the audiobook as
And
I
not
was.
necessarily typos, but mistakes. Like what I specifically brought up in
You think like this is an editing flaw, or you like?
I think it was an editing flaw.
Okay.
see, I noticed stuff, but I thought it was because I was reading the Kindle version and they, like...
So what I brought up in the first book is in the map at the beginning. If you look at the names of the countries,
Yeah.
in the north, there's Mutayz, Muttayz.
UTT.
In the first book, that country is always referred to as Muyattin, Muyyaattin, and they are called Muyattin assassins. That's where all the assassins are from there. In this one, they're Mutayin, Muttayn.
Okay.
and they're from Mutaya.
Did he kind of pull Robert Jordan a la Shadow Rising and just suddenly up and change the name of something and just say, it's different now?
But it's not only it's different once. There are 3 different names for this one country, and it changes from book to book, and it's wrong on the map.
Does it change in the future again
on the map?
Past book 2?
Yeah. So that's definitely an editing mistake.
How does nobody catch that? That's like.
And so I was curious, and like, you know, this isn't like something that got changed in later editions. You know, like I'm reading the first mass market paperback edition, which came out a year and a half after the first edition, the hardcover.
So about 2000, circa 2000. I think this Brotherhood of the Wolf was 99. I just saw that.
Yeah, and this one came out September 2000. But even
they had time for a reprint.
Even more ridiculous, the back cover copy on this.
Oh.
All right.
Go for it. No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So it's 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Raj Atan. Ahtan.
What? A-N? Ah.
A-N. Yep.
I like that even less than the way I pronounced Raj Atan.
3 times on the back cover, they mention his name, and it's Atan on all 3.
Well, yeah, it was clearly the same person that wrote the entire passage who just got it wrong, and then somebody just didn't catch it, I guess. Push it through.
Yeah,
we need it.
Like that's some sloppy editing, you know?
That does seem a little out of place. I don't have the physical, so I wouldn't have noticed this. But this also did happen on The Eye of the World, like the first, like when it was split into 2 young adult kind of novels. Those are From the Two Rivers and To the Blight.
Yeah.
On the back of From the Two Rivers, it describes Moiraine Sidiai.
Yes,
Sdeai. And I was like, okay, that's not how it was. But when I was like 10 years old, that confused the shit out of me. I was like, maybe they changed it, you know, or it's gonna change in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, I do remember that.
This is not the first time I've seen something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So lazy editing.
So that was just like my kind of kickoff thing here. You know,
sure.
A kind of funny little
get the grumble out of the way. I like
book,
it,
if you will. It's still an excellent book. I mean, I'm gonna say, I liked these books a lot when I was, you know, in my early teens, just getting into fantasy. And
sure, they
over
influenced you a lot, too.
when, you know, I started getting into more literary stuff, and I just sort of assumed that the stuff I read when I was younger wouldn't hold up. This holds up. Yeah. This is excellent.
I could see this blowing my mind as like a young, impressionable, you know, early reader. Yeah. That said, I did like Brotherhood of the Wolf a lot more than I liked The Sum of All Men. Granted, it's probably because I was already comfortable with the world and knew a lot about it going in. But it seemed like the battle scenes were bigger. They were more epic. The description was a little more visceral. It was on point. There were a lot more world-building moments that are just like, oh yeah, again, I hadn't even considered that. Mm-hmm. He basically just ups the ante in book 2. Like everything he's done in book 1, it seems like he had a plan. He carried it out. He executed it perfectly, and it's continuing to grow as I read along. So I'm pretty stoked to see where book 3 is going when I finally get the chance to dive into that one.
Yeah, that was something. Again, this is a change from when I read these way back in the day. The first book was my favorite.
Yeah,
and I reread these several times when I was, you know, a teenager, and just reading through these first 2 again, Brotherhood of the Wolf is indisputably a better book than The Sum of All Men.
Yeah.
I still love the Battle of Ogmont.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's hard not to.
That's pretty incredible. Epic. But I think this book is better paced. The character development is handled better. He really comes into his own as the world expands, and he gets to sort of flex his writing muscles.
Yeah.
And and we get a lot more from Raja 10 in this one. And this is when he really starts to become this incredible antagonist.
Yeah. He Rajat had some pretty good moments in this book. One in particular at the very, very end of the book that I can't wait to get to once we get into our character discussion. He had one of my favorite one-liners that I think in all if epic fantasy.
So I'm pretty sure I know what it is, and
you probably do.
I don't know. It might hurt to talk about this.
And if it is what I'm thinking, you're gonna absolutely love the beer that I brought when we get to the final draft.
Ooh. I like it. Drew always seems to bring thematic beers to the table.
I'm
like
kind
it.
of disturbed. Like, I don't want to know
Disturbed.
what Drew picked.
Well, so let's kind of just recap. When we left off last time, Miramon and Ben his men had just taken down the Darkling Glory with the help of some fishy water wizards.
Yeah, fishy water wizards. This is the best kind.
King Anders, it was revealed, was plotting against Gaborn. And then Roland and Baron Pol just arrived in Karis to, join Duke Paldane's army to fight Rajatan.
Yep.
Very, very quickly, in the earliest chapters of the part we just read and we're going to be talking about today, that whole situation with Karis gets flipped on its head.
Yeah.
Once again, there's like no big battle, no siege. There's all this buildup, and Rajaten's like, let me in, serve me. But this time, he's got a reason for it. His army of 200,000 men out on the field are getting slaughtered by
knocking
this
on the
Reaver
doorstep.
army.
Yep.
And that scene where Roland's on the wall and everything is covered in fog, and the fog slowly starts burning away, and they can hear the Reavers killing people out in the fog, and slowly they can start seeing the Reavers as the fog dissipates. And they see just how screwed they are when they see the full extent of the Reaver army.
These are the kinds of moments I wish I could see the look on an author's face when he conceptualizes that scene and how he wants to write that, and then he nails it that first time. That's got to be such a good feeling, because that was such a vividly painted scene that you felt that in that moment. You felt that rare moment in a fantasy book where something is slowly revealed before your eyes and you have a chance to go, oh shit.
Yeah.
Right?
It's cinematic.
You have that chance.
Yeah. And,
absolutely.
And so very quickly the Reavers, sort of pen Rajatan and the Mystarians onto the island of Karis. And a fell mage appears who is just absolutely huge, like 30 feet tall.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was capitalized on fell mage, because again, I was listening to the audiobook. I thought he was just describing it as a fell mage with a lowercase f, and I was like, okay, Farland, let's
So
every
it is lowercase, but that is a title that they use. Like
is it? Because
there are mages and then there are fell mages.
Oh.
They basically just use fell mage as a term for like a really big mage.
Okay, because to make sure that I had absorbed, the book correctly, as I was preparing for this podcast today, I just read a plot summary, and I saw that it was capitalized, and I was like, it was capitalized. Okay, so it wasn't him just using that same descriptive word over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's actually the title.
Yes.
Yep.
And so they realize that the Reavers aren't there to attack Karis. The Reavers are there to build a giant rune on top of a hill soaked with the blood of generations of battles.
Yeah.
And this rune is the seal of desolation, and the whole purpose of it is to basically corrupt everything to do with the earth. It kills plants, it withers flowers, it makes the air toxic, it leeches the strength out of people, it in this entire battle, as it progresses, both sides, Rajatan and Gaborn, realize that the Reavers are here specifically to assault humanity. That this seal, the seal of desolation, is their sign saying, we will supplant you.
Yes, I have that line written down right here. We will supplant you. I have that. I wanted to talk about that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And so Gaborn shows up late without all of these huge armies that he was promised, because King Loaker, like King Anders, is secretly a tremendous douche nozzle and does not have the 200,000 troops or whatever that he promised, and instead he has a couple thousand, and they're there to kill Gaborn. And Gaborn uses his earth powers to smite down the wall on the border of Fleeds and Beldenuk, and he spares all of Loaker's troops, but they very slowly and painfully execute King Loaker for attempted regicide.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah, so by the time Gaborn shows up and he meets up with High Marshal Scalbairn, who, by the way, we didn't even mention him in the first episode. How ugh.
Yeah, how a douche nozzle, I think is the term the theme we're going with today. I like that.
But so he meets up with a pretty small army. It's only like 8,000 Knights Equitable to join Gaborn's like 60 lords and you know. So he doesn't exactly have a big force with which to defeat the Reavers. And Raja Ten's invincibles are just getting crushed. And Mystaria's forces, they've all lost their endowments. And it becomes this big, like, sort of three-way battle where humanity against the Reavers, but also Raja Ten against Gaborn. And in the heat of this battle, Gaborn uses his earth powers to try to save Karis. And he chooses the entire city.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. I liked that moment.
And he says, even you, Raja Ten.
Again, another one-liner that I have written down here. Well, I guess this wouldn't really be too much of a one-liner, but it was a specific line of dialogue that I had to write down so that I would remember to discuss it. Even you, Rajaten. Oh, it was such a good scene. Let's see if I wrote down anything else about it specifically. God, I have so many notes about this. We will supplant you. I wrote down, holy shit, Gaborn choosing Rajaten. That was written brilliantly. Even you, Rajaten. It stuck out to me so much.
And so that actually ties in. He builds up the expectations because just a chapter or two before that, it's chapter 46, and the name of the chapter is A Hero by Necessity. And it's Rajaten's point of view, and it's when he realizes what the seal is, and he's like, we gotta break that seal. We can't let this happen. And so even though he's like, a total scumbag and he's trying to figure out how to screw over everybody but himself, he realizes, I have to be a hero here. I'm the only one who can stop this. And he sallies forth with his invincibles, and they get stopped by the Reavers.
He has a chance to really put his money where his mouth is because he claims to be here to save mankind. That's kind of his whole MO. That's his whole platform upon which he stands. And he finally gets the opportunity to prove that. Not just to his armies and mankind, but to the reader as well. It's like, okay, all right, I'll give him a pass on this. It seems like this is something important.
And then he gets chosen by Gaborn, and you're like, well, maybe this can work out.
Yep. I expected it from
choice. Like, I have to put aside my, my skullduggery and my conniving, and I need to fight the Reavers. And Gaborn chooses him, and you're like, all right, you can finally be on the same side now. Are we going to have this redemption arc show up? And no, we are not.
I wasn't holding my
breath. Not yet. I'm still hopeful. I honestly, can I lay down a prediction really quick?
Sure.
There was a moment that we found out during part 2. I'm pretty sure it was part 2. I don't remember discussing this last time. There was a moment when we found out that there's going to be what is referred to as the Earth's Warrior, and that Gaborn has no say in who the Earth's Warrior is, and he can't fill in that part himself. So I thought right away, that's what it turned out to be. But I had assumed in that moment, I was like, oh, this is how Rajaten's going to have his chance to prove himself.
Sure.
With as many endowments as he has and his desire to become the sum of all men, he'll have his chance to become the Earth's Warrior. That was a prediction that I had right on my first impression as soon as I read that scene. But watching Businessman's Wild in action, was pretty enlightening, pretty awakening.
Effective?
I guess.
I like enlightening there. It's like, oh, okay, I gotcha.
It's like, okay, I see what you're doing, Farland.
I
like
runes
it.
In the air, and
still
then
like it.
You punch so hard you shatter Reaver's skulls.
Oh, she punches like a 50 caliber fucking like Barrett, just bam, just shatters skulls no matter what. I love it. Like,
did Rajaten ever see the Wild?
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry.
She punched him in the ribs at the end.
Oh, that's right. At the very end. That's right.
She Falcon punched him right to the torso. Just wham! Turned his organs to pudding.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's kind of like when you first thought he might actually die.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in that moment, I still thought, no, he's still not going to die here. I knew it. I knew he could. He's too good of a character. Actually, I think I had a thought written about this here. See here. Oh, yeah, I was pretty sure Rajaten wasn't going to die when the Wild was about to kill him, but I had no idea how he was going to manage to slink away and still save face. That's what I was concerned about in that moment. He's not just going to slink away and just be like, okay. I knew he was going to have, somehow he was going to have to save face in that scene. And then his parting words to Mirima, that was exactly the exit that he needed. I didn't see it
Was
coming,
that the
but I knew
one-liner you were
something.
thinking of?
That was the one-liner I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
the one-liner I was thinking of too. You're gonna love
And-
my beer when we get to the final draft.
Ray Porter absolutely nailed it in the audiobook, by the way. The inflection and the accent that he gives to Raj Otten and how soft his voice is, but the way he still goes, Wolf Lord bitch. He just over enunciates it so much, and I just giggle. I must have rewound it probably 11, 12 times and just listened to it again and again and again. I was just giggling like a lunatic. It was awesome. I liked it.
Yeah, that was an excellent scene. So do we want to kind of jump into characters then? Because we just talked about Raja 10.
Boom, let's do it.
Pretty extensively. Let's go to Mirima.
Okay.
So she's a Runelord and a Wolf Lord now. She got like 30 endowments before she left Jarrod.
She got a lot.
Yeah, she was
got
only
enough.
supposed to get 10 initially, but so many people wanted to give their endowments to her that like they're calling her Herodon's glory and all of this stuff. And
Yep.
and she gets I don't think we get like a specific breakdown of her endowments at any time, but we do know that she got like scent and stamina from the pups.
I'm pretty sure we did get a breakdown at one point, but I don't
we
remember
know,
what the numbers
we know
were.
she has 4 endowments of metabolism now,
Okay.
so she can move
really?
quite quickly. Yeah, but
missed
she
that.
also got brawn
too
and
much.
grace. She got brawn, grace, and metabolism from the humans, and she got
As you do.
scent and stamina from the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can't remember if she actually got it or not. Did they actually give her the steel bow, or did someone just say you need to get a steel bow?
I don't remember. I don't know. That's a
Because
good
before
question.
she leaves Groverman, somebody comments to her and they're like, "You're Herodon's glory. You're gonna be a Runelord. We need to get you a steel bow."
I'm gonna go with no, just because I'm pretty sure we would have seen it in action, or at least highlighted in action later in that book, because she still gets more opportunity to fight past that point.
She does.
So
Yeah.
I think we would have seen Farland. I feel like would have at least drawn specific attention to it if she had. But hey, I could be speaking out of my ass right now. I was listening to the audiobook, and
I'm pretty sure you're right. Like, I was just checking with you guys because I couldn't remember seeing any reference to her using a steel bow after that. And
I'm gonna go with I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Not yet.
But yeah, so with Mirima's character, I had one line highlighted. It was in it was page 517, and the context of it, she's riding with Iome, and she's talking about being chosen by Gaborn and how she says maybe Gaborn did not choose me so much as we chose each other. Last week you mentioned that one could not be so near his creative powers without wanting a child. And then she goes on to say, like, he makes me feel more awake and alive than ever before, but there's something else. He makes me want to fight. And the next line is from Iome, and she says, "You're a frightening woman, Mirima." And I actually think that's a key line there. Mirima, up to this point, has always been sort of framed, like she shows up, she's like the flower girl, the innocent.
She definitely,
sort of, and during the climactic battle in Sum of All Men, she's pushed to the side. She's ineffective. She can't fight in that. And so she has this sort of mark of innocence about her, and it's reinforced at the beginning of this book when Sir Hoswell tries to rape her. She is innocent. She's unblemished. Like that's she's sort of a precious flower to be protected. And then she has her moment with the Darkling Glory, but even in that moment, she's awkward.
Yeah,
about
she
it,
does.
She's awkward about it. She's like, that was lucky.
She's not sure how to handle it.
She's like, I'm awful as an archer. Like I still need to practice and all this. And then just a few chapters later, we turn around and Iome says, "You're a frightening woman." What a dramatic departure from this, carefree, beautiful young flower girl.
Yeah.
You're a frightening woman.
Yeah, a damsel in distress to a heroine. That's definitely not a direction I saw that character taking when you first, meet her in the very beginning of, the Sum of All Men. She was literally one of the first characters to get screen time at all. She might have been like second or third, as far as I know. And just again, looking at her attitude, her whole demeanor, what kind of character she was when she started versus where she is just one book later, it's I mean, I can see why Iomi would say so. It's a frightening change, but I mean, to me, it's really refreshing because a lot of characters like that do just kind of get swept under the rug. You don't see a lot of characters start off in that very, very, well, no, I can't say that. You do see a lot of characters start off in that very timid place, but a lot of them don't tend to be women.
Yeah, sure.
And
Unless it's
Farland,
like YA.
18, 19 years ago now has decided, yes, I'm going to take this character and I'm going to make her a badass.
Yeah.
And she, it feels very natural too.
And
it doesn't feel
not
just suddenly
like, have her be
montage,
a badass,
right?
But like have her start out as this, inexperienced, shy, sort of like out of her comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then turn her into, in a natural way, a warrior.
Exactly. And I think that's a rare talent, again, that Farland expresses here. The ability to take a character and flip them on their head so much in so short a time and still make it feel right, make it feel natural. Not like a montage passes and suddenly they're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You get to it makes sense.
I would say along those lines, that what makes it so natural is that she still struggles with it even when she gains these new endowments. One of the quotes that I copied down for her was, she said, even with her new endowments, Mirama felt impotent. Though she was a wolf lord, she felt all too common still. So even with all this going for her, she still struggles with who she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I want to draw kind of a parallel, but an inversion in story arcs here, where Mirama starts off as, as we said, like inexperienced, kind of innocent, and goes through this dramatic change into a frightening warrior. And Borenson starts off as this frightening warrior, and man, by the end of this book, he has been totally on every level as a character. He has been torn down. He's lost his endowments. He's lost his oaths. He's a regicide. He fails in his quest. He's honestly hard to read during some of these chapters where it just makes you cringe the way he's totally devoted to Saphira. He's such a victim of the endowments of glamour and voice.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he's literally emasculated.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a feeling that the Rob that finished, Some of All Men would have really liked to see what happened here to Borenson, considering how mad he was at Borenson. But oh no, if I remember correctly, I was still already starting to come around a little bit on Borenson. No, I wasn't. No, I hated his guts.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, you did.
Maybe it was our last episode during Brotherhood of the Wolf.
You were starting to come around a little more. You were like, maybe I judged him too harshly.
That sounds
but
a little better.
Pissed about him killing
I was
Silveressa.
pissed. You nailed it on the head. I was pissed. That's right. I remember now. That said, I still didn't really enjoy what happened to him.
No,
not just at the end, but just seeing him that whole downward spiral and the total loss of everything that he stands upon. It's tough, but it's still in this moment hard for me to say that he doesn't fucking deserve it. I still have I definitely came around a little bit on him, but I'm left with that impression that I had after that first book. It just stained his name for me. His father, on the other hand, I liked a lot.
Yeah,
I liked a lot more. Wish we had more screen time with Roland. Anything else we want to add about Borenson's character before we perhaps
Jarrod,
move on to his
do you have
father?
any thoughts about Borenson?
Nothing major. I mean, I enjoyed his interactions with Saphira. I thought he was going to kill her originally. Not this time around, but when I first read this. I thought that he would kill her. So I was kind of disappointed when that didn't happen.
It occurred to me.
But, then again, he's literally has to shield his eyes when she gives him a reproachful look. So, which is interesting to see the mechanics of endowments work in such a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So let's move on to Saphira then.
Okay. I didn't have any specific thoughts about Saphira written down. Actually, no, wait, hold on. I did. I did have one specific thought about Saphira written down. Did you want to start though?
No, I was gonna say I think she has the best moment in the book when she is riding, in and the sun is setting, and she's on the hill and she starts singing. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. It was pretty sweet. She had a moment that near the end of the book. Hold on, let's see exactly what I wrote down here. It was specifically about. Let's see here, Mage.
And she's 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least born to guesses.
She's 16?
No, she's a little older than that because she says she married Raja 10 when she was 12.
I was about to pounce on that because this is gonna. She
had her first child at 14, I believe.
Damn. Okay,
and
so my thought.
She's like 17 or 18.
My thought on Saphira was this: Saphira forcing Raj Otten's hand by charging into battle herself. That sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? Spoilery cough. For the Well of Ascension that happened in Mistborn Book 2. Alrianne did that exact same thing to force her father into battle to protect her. It was Ashweather Set.
That's right.
She did force his hand into going into battle to protect his sworn enemies simply because he wanted to save her life. So he forced her hand, or she forced his hand. That same exact thing happened in Well of Ascension. So I saw that and I went, ha! And more, I hate bringing this up, and I say that I hate bringing this up every single time, but I am my eyes are opening a little more towards Brandon Sanderson's specific style and how much that he was influenced, I think, by David Farland. Yeah. I mean, the climax at the end of the book, the fast switching viewpoints, those epic one-liners that really kind of rip your guts out, and there's even specific moments now that I'm starting to pick up on that I was like, oh yeah, Sanderson did that.
Yeah,
now that I'm thinking about it, 10, 15
really
years later.
illuminating for me, where like this is the first time I've actually read David Farland, Dave Wolverton.
What's going on with that? What's up with Dave Wolverton? Why do I keep seeing that name? Is that like a pseudonym of his?
David Farland is the pseudonym. So Dave Wolverton is his name, and he was a published author and did a lot of stuff, and then he wanted to get into fantasy, and he decided to make a pen name and make it a little more fantastic. So he did David Farland.
Oh, it's a pun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So, light bulb goes off.
But anyway, this is the first time I've read him since getting into Sanderson, which will tell you how long it's been since I've read Runelords.
Sure.
Because I started reading Brandon
Sanderson like 05, didn't you?
A few weeks before Robert Jordan died. And
okay.
So it's been 11 years since the last time I read the Runelords. And it really is illuminating. Of course, in that intervening time, I found out he was Brandon's teacher and all of this stuff. And specifically, I noticed in this book, the pacing was very reminiscent of Bands of Mourning.
Okay.
Where you're reaching a point where it feels like everything is coming to a head, and then you're like, wait a second, we still have 40% of this book left.
Yeah, we still have a lot to go.
And because you
fuck
get,
train's got no brakes.
You get those scenes with Roland and Baron Pole on the walls of Castle Karis, and Roger 10 is at their gates, and you're like, all right, here we go. Here's the big battle showing up, and then you're like, wait a second, there's 280 pages more to go.
Mm-hmm. You're like this. I thought this was a climax here. What's going on? Okay, I've got more to go.
And it just, but it's not that it's not the climax. It's that it's the beginning of the climax, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And that's
Oathbringer did
it's
that
an
too,
avalanche. It's a Brandon Sanderson avalanche.
Yeah. Speaking again of Sanderson, I can just hear people saying, "Oh, come on, now you can't compare the two so much." They've got their own separate, unique styles.
They do.
It's just influence that I want to talk about. Like Brandon Sanderson did the same thing in Oathbringer. You had like 150 pages of climax at the end. You think it's over, and you realize, oh no, that's just getting the ball rolling. Now it's time for the real shit to hit the fan. Yeah. Wait, we're specifically about to move on to.
We were talking about Saphira before we got into that. But...
Yeah. I just realized we got pretty off track there on a tangent.
I was just saying she had a moment.
She did have a moment, and
she had a few. But
and I think she also served a pretty important role as a character because she showed, how do I put it? She showed a side of Raja 10.
Mm-hmm.
That it was an opportunity for him, with how many points of view we got from him, to see how inside he really is just like a normal guy. He loves his wife like that, But
Sure.
in his thoughts and in the scenes where he's considering Saphira, it is not that at all. It is very self-centered. It's very much like, this is something like, she's so beautiful, I created her. And like it's all about what she does for him, and like that was, you know, that really drives home to me like why Raja 10 won't side with Gaborn, won't side with the Earth, because the Earth is selfless. And that's a major theme with Gaborn in this book, that it's like, like he has to serve the Earth, and then the Earth will serve him. This isn't
a two-way street.
As like he has in that dream. He wasn't given these powers. These powers are not his. The powers are the Earth's, and the Earth uses them and serves him.
I did want to talk about that
he
too.
serves the Earth.
Yeah, it's a mutual relationship, definitely, and it's a lot more mutual than we were led to believe after book 1.
Yeah.
There's another point specifically about Saphira that I wanted to bring up, but I just remembered. This is something that I didn't bring up in part 1, and when I realized it in part 2, I was like, why didn't I consider how badly this could go? My point written down here is, how do they not expect, this was about halfway through the book, maybe about 3/4 of the way through the book, how do they not expect Rajatan to flip his shit when he realizes they're using Saphira to get to him? Are they seriously going to hope that he's just totally cool with that kind of underhanded politicking, if you will? Like, this can only end badly. At no point was I considering the fact that Saphira could just change his mind and he was going to be like, oh, okay, you guys went and got her. You brought her here. You gave her all these endowments. Specifically, you're brainwashing her. I thought Rajatan was going to flip his shit when he found out that they were using Saphira to get to him.
And he did.
Well, I mean, he didn't really have much opportunity to consider it, though, when he realizes that Saphira was there.
The first thing he does after it is like, hey, Invincibles, come here. We're going to go kill the Earth King. Because he did this. No, sorry, but okay, he didn't have much opportunity to consider that, though. He just, on the field of battle, made this gut instinct, boom, we're going to go kill this motherfucker. Like, that was it. He does realize it, though. He has, like, he talks to Saphira, and she lies to him.
Not very well.
Yeah, she says, like, oh, he's like, how did you come here? What are you doing? And she's like, oh, I heard word about this. And he's like, bullshit.
Oh, really?
Heard word. There's no rumors are ever allowed. There's no way a guard would break those rules.
Yeah, I gotta stop reading audiobooks. Jesus Christ.
And that's when,
I somehow missed that little part.
And that's when he's talking to Borenson, and then he kills kills Borenson's balls.
Kills, yeah.
But because he realizes he's like Borenson. He's like, you killed her. You brought her here, and she.
Yeah, well, he immediately has somebody upon whom to blame her death. Immediately.
Yeah.
Which, again, I didn't see her charging into battle. That kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bit of a redeeming moment for her. I was like, okay, this character's cool. I hope she lives now, even though I wasn't expecting to hope that. And she didn't. But then as soon as she didn't, I knew. I was like, okay, so this is what Farland was going for. He just wanted to give Rajatan just another reason to hate Gaborn's guts.
Yeah.
Right? And he got it. He definitely got his reason.
But so moving on from kind of Roger 10 and Saphira, let's stick to the foils kind of thing, the parallels and inversions. Let's go to Gaborn.
Okay.
There's a pretty huge deal at the end of this book. Pretty big deal. Where he has lost the Earth powers.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that.
He has chosen Raja 10, and he specifically uses his Earth powers to try to kill Raja 10.
I didn't stop to consider the fact that it was because he had chosen Rajatan. I figured it's because the powers of the Earth are so suited to healing that the moment you intend harm and try to kill somebody,
well, no, I mean,
the Earth might withdraw.
Consider he used
but I didn't
the Earth powers
that.
to help like Mirama and Hoswell.
Yeah.
Well, not Hoswell, but Mirama and Iome against the Inkaran Air Wizard.
Yeah. Oh, the Air Wizard too. Another little talking point that I wanted to get to. Might not have time today because we're already at 46 minutes, and we still have a lot of discussion to go, let alone final draft to get
about
to.
39 right now.
What? Oh, that's right, because I had started recording beforehand so that I wouldn't have to give my computer a stroke with hitting the microphone recording halfway through like I did last time.
So going to Gaborn, he's lost his Earth powers. We find out a lot more about his actual relationship with the Earth and his role as the Earth King. You know,
Yeah. His whole moment when he finally gets to have his strike against the Seal of Desolation, that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
I like
the World
that.
Worm.
Gaborn definitely feels a lot more benevolent. I guess that's the word I'm going to use for this episode for describing Gaborn at least. He seems a lot more benevolent and just aware of what he's trying to do in this book. Like he's starting to come into his own. He's using his telepathic powers with a little more subtlety. We get to see him choose an entire, well, not nation, but thousands and thousands of people all at once. And there was oh no, never mind. Those are endowments I wanted to talk about, not the choosing. But yeah, I did definitely enjoy Gaborn's character a lot more in this book than I did in The Sum of All Men. He definitely felt like less of just a manufactured hero in this one. He definitely feels more real.
I firmly agree. I think Gaborn's character development in this book is a major reason why it's a superior book to The Sum of All Men.
And a theme going forward with Gaborn and his whole role of leadership, near the very, very beginning of part 2 here, there's a moment when Iomi says to Gaborn, "Guilt is the price of leadership."
Yeah.
And this is something that I had heard her say. I mean, maybe it wasn't her, but it was definitely a statement I heard said in The Sum of All Men in book 1. Guilt is the price of leadership. And I made a mental note back then to write it down, and I totally forgot until I heard it again in book 2. Yeah. So it seems like a repeating kind of theme for Gaborn's character.
And that ties in
the price
very directly to the magic system here, where at least if you're even remotely aware of ethics and morality, there's going to be some guilt involved in the taking of endowments.
Yes.
Because it dedicates, I mean, it is such a tremendous cost. And that plays in very importantly with Gaborn in this book, where he says, like, I don't want to take endowments. I don't want to do it. And he is convinced, and he takes endowments.
Yep.
And he points out at the end of the book when the fell mage is like blasting them with all these spells, and he says, he's like, if I had no endowments, I would be dead right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, yeah. He has a moment where he's talking to Tempest in this book, who's another character that I really enjoyed. When he's talking to Tempest, and of course Tempest is feeling really down on his, well, not on his luck, he just really feels down on himself, to be honest, for what he interprets as betraying his liege. And the way that Gaborn phrases this request to him, and it's very important, it's a request, not an order, despite the fact that he is the Earth King, which as well as nobility, before that even, he still says to Tempest, "I beg you to stay here at Groverman with your wife and children and protect them." He still shows that despite his nobility, both human and Earth, he still doesn't want to make orders about the matters concerning the conscience of his soldiers. He still has the need, he still feels the need to ask it of them.
And that is right there. That's the whole, like, the days, the Time Lords, and the domains.
Yes.
He is, even if he doesn't think it directly, and he does sometimes think about this directly, he is constantly considering the domain invisible. And how certain actions violate that. And he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to violate this. So he makes a request instead of an order. Things like that. Little subtle things.
He still has a very specific moral code that he wants to stick to, that he's not letting...
And he's adjusting his moral code. Because he just learned about this, like the diagram. I guess you've been doing audio. So there's this diagram. It's like a target. And there's the three, there's like the... I'm trying to remember the... There's like the domain visible, the domain communal, and the domain invisible. And there are like aspects of these domains, and like the further you go in, if you breach those domains, it's more and more of an evil. And and he like, when he's first confronted with this, it showed up in the Emir of Tulistan's book.
Yes.
When he's first confronted with this idea, he's like, that's interesting. And now when he's thinking about it again, he's starting to actually integrate that philosophy into his own moral code.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting that, given all that, he calls out his own days in the second half of this book for not getting involved.
I love that scene, because Gaborn in that scene finally says what the reader's been thinking.
Like, what the hell are you doing?
At that point, he's like, "Oh, we finally get Gaborn putting words to thoughts that we've been having and the disgruntled notion that we've been just stuffing down inside and waiting for an answer for.
I totally get the days being all like, oh, we're neutral, we're Switzerland, you know, we don't get involved in the wars of nobles. Switzerland. And but it's like, listen, this isn't the wars of nobles anymore. This is the extinction of the human race.
Exactly.
Like, quit being idiots. Like, come on.
How fucking long do you reckon you're going to stick around and be able to continue writing these stories about people if there are no people left to write stories about?
Yeah.
Motherfucker. Smarten up. Smarten the fuck up.
So Jarrod, on the topic of the days then, you know, they're maintaining this neutrality. And they see it as sort of a necessary thing, and they see it almost as a good. And do you think that, like, is a result of their moral code that we now know about? Like, do you think they're doing this because they perceive, like, the giving of information and secrets, like, as violating the domain invisible, for instance, or even the domain communal, I guess?
Sure, they might see that, but isn't there a much bigger breach by not helping out?
I mean, you would think, but maybe they see it as like a martyrdom kind of situation where it's like, it's better to die than to violate somebody else's domain invisible.
I mean, okay, but who would they be violating by helping Gaborn, for
example? Well, they'd be violating Raja Ten's by betraying his secrets.
So what happens when you violate the domain of an evil person?
I don't think that matters to them. I think that's the point. To them, there is no good and evil.
Well, there's the problem.
Yeah, it's well, I shouldn't say it. There is good and evil, but good and evil is defined differently for them. It's violating the domains is what's good and evil versus, like, you know, a more conventional, like, oh, that guy's evil because he's a dick. Like,
so like, yeah.
But I want to move on character wise, and go to Averin, because there are some major
so many cringy moments
developments with her in the second half of this book. She was kind of just there in the first half and had some, you know, some hints and things, but in the second half of the book, she's drunk the blood of the wild, right? And
well, the blood of not of the wild, the blood of the wild was drinking.
She did. Remember, she, like, when the wild, like, the green blood early on.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, no, good.
And so she's, like, getting these sort of the same reactions to things as the wild.
Yeah.
Specifically in regards to the Reavers and wanting to eat the brain of a Reaver.
Eat their brains.
She does
zombie, this one.
And she starts getting memories.
She gets memories
from the Reaver she eats.
That was insane. I mean, it was kind of redeeming in a way, but at the same time, just being that reader there, reading about this, she's 8, 9 years old. This 9-year-old little girl who's just scooping handfuls of inhuman, like, Reaver brains out, and she's just feasting on them raw while they're still steaming. I'm just like, okay, that's nice.
Well, craziest of all, at the end, you know, they fished the body of the fell mage out of the lake. And she goes and eats the fell mage's brain.
Decided to have a spontaneous buffet there, doesn't she?
And but like, you know, like, this is disgusting.
She freaks out all the soldiers.
This is disgusting. She's eating, like, raw.
It was so vividly written too. She gets into its mouth, and then she pulls out her knife and she goes right into the roof of its just, like, saws it open, and the brains just spill out, and no good. No good. This bitch cray.
But this is a big deal though, because she now understands the Reavers. She understands what
she does come across a very
because
particular bit of
the
information.
Fell Mage's brain. She knows what the Fell Mage was doing. She knows about the Great Seal, the one seal, and that the Seal of Desolation is just
the one true master,
and the one true master.
Yes, and the fact that they had an ulterior motive to this, I almost said Spear of Desolation. Wow, fucking the Seal of Desolation. They were there to destroy all the blood metal in the ground. I had no idea that was even possible. And that was another. I was like, oh, okay. So they weren't just there to try to kill as many humans as they can. They actually had a reason to be doing what they were doing. And that kind of makes the Reavers a little more frightening as an enemy. A little less faceless.
They're very much intelligent. Yeah. They're first framed as kind of mindless, like, you know, horde, you know, whatever. Yeah. And then Averin gives you this insight into their mindset,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh no, they are very intelligent things. They just perceive the world differently.
Yeah. What do reavers eat? There's so many of them.
They're,
What
they're
are
carnivores.
the carnivores? There's like that many animals to eat and hunt inside the Earth's crust, which is, from what I understand, where they live.
Yeah, the underworld. There are lots of animals. They're cannibals. They eat each other.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Okay.
that's the whole thing.
They
Like
learn
how
from
they
each other.
grow is
Didn't realize
like
they eat each
they'll
other.
fight and kill each other, and the winner will eat like the brain and the glands and stuff of the one they killed, and gain those memories
Okay.
and their powers
So
and stuff.
it's kind of like a hierarchy of intelligence
Yeah.
and wit as
It's
it progresses.
survival of the fittest, like at its
Yeah.
absolutely most basic level, and that's how you
Okay.
get things like the Fell
kinda cool. I
Mages,
didn't realize that.
who have, the Fell Mage, the first time she shows up, she's being carried on this giant like palanquin by 100
Huge.
reavers on the bones of the reavers she's eaten.
That's a huge bitch. Yeah, but then what's to stop her from just continuing to eat all of her brethren? Like, why doesn't she want to get more powerful at that point? Are these like
Well,
questions that are going to get answered?
It wouldn't, like at a certain
wouldn't
point,
learn
like
much,
she wouldn't
right?
learn anything new. She wouldn't. That wouldn't.
Oh, so it does. There's no like Super Saiyan level above that one even.
Well,
she could, reach
like,
just by eating like 100,000
You
of
reach a
them?
point of diminishing returns. If you're already this hyper powerful Fell Mage, like what's the point of eating a bunch of fucking Reaver blade bearers? Like you're not getting anything from that.
No, maybe there's a level above you that you don't know yet. That's what I would be thinking if I was Fell Mage.
Well, but
like,
how would eating Reavers that are many ranks below you help you ascend?
you're right. Maybe it wouldn't
She's
be
not
worth
getting
it
anything
though,
from it.
because if it takes like 100,000 Reavers to eat to achieve that hypothetical new level, maybe it's
Oh,
not
okay.
worth
So
it.
you're thinking of it in like kind of a backwards way. It's not like necessarily the number of Reavers you eat. It's like eating Reavers that know more than you do and are more talented and have more powers than you do.
Oh.
So you gain their memories and their powers.
Okay.
So if she ate a blade bear, she's getting nothing from that.
Oh, because it's below her.
Yeah,
There's no
but another
nothing to
Fell
gain.
Mage.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
now
thought it
if
was
she
just
fought another Fell Mage and took her out, yeah, that would be a big deal.
ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Okay, cool. Something to consider going forward. Some food for
Yeah.
thought.
Um,
Yeah. Any other characters who specifically want to discuss?
I mean, well, I don't think we're quite done with Averin yet. Like she's
Oh
she
yeah, yeah.
has
we're
this
in the middle
very
of Averin. What am I saying?
like this very
These earth powers that she's
complicated
starting to express.
situation now. She's unique among all humans where she can eat Reaver brains and get memories from them instead of getting sick
And we know
probably
for a
dying.
fact that's because of her involvement with Spring. That's her name.
That is
it's
what
not
is
because
implied.
that's what it's implied. Okay, a very important distinction I think to make, because who knows what would happen if Businessmen or fucking anybody else were deciding I'm going to eat some Reaver brains today.
Well, so it does say that normally if human beings eat Reaver flesh, they get sick.
Oh, it mentions that specifically?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that's. Okay.
Yeah. So
it seems like a lot of opportunity for some hiding of things in there. What kind of sickness are we talking about? This is just
No,
my.
like
It's
you
Brandon
throw it
Sanderson
out.
has done this to me. I consider the implications of everything past that point. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
Anyway, but so maybe this is when we can kind of transition into predictions because we're at
Okay.
about 53 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
now.
I've got a few predictions to throw down.
Yeah. Like where do you think Averin is going?
Averin? Oh, I didn't consider Averin. Oh shit. No, sorry. Go on. You were looking at
I was
Jared.
gonna say, what do we think about Raja 10, like, kind of saving her, doesn't he? I mean,
He does. He gets
Go on,
her
say
out
again?
of the Reaver's mouth.
I was,
Rajatan?
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Rajatan's
kind
the one that brought her out of the
shocked.
Reaver's mouth?
I had forgotten that he had done this. And
I thought that
also
was just a
forgotten
bunch
that
of
he just lets
Gabon
her.
soldiers.
He just lets her go too. Like because when he's walking up, he notes how the Reaver has been destroyed in a particular fashion,
Mm-hmm.
and so I thought that when he saved her, he would like take her with him, but he doesn't.
No, he thought he was gonna like kind of realize, wait, something's a little
Yeah,
fishy.
I thought he would like connect some dots, but
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Rajatan seems like the kind of guy with all the endowments of wit he has.
Well, so that is also an interesting point, and they bring this up in this where he's got so many thousands of endowments of wit, but that just makes his memory perfect. It doesn't make
Yeah.
him smarter, and they talk about that. They're like,
Oh, like, good. I had some questions. Okay.
Yeah, but like
doesn't Borenson
Borenson, yeah. When he's going over the mountains and he's like seeing like all of Rajten's troops who are like dying in the high passes and all the elephants are dying. He's like, the dude's got like thousands of endowments of wit. He's got a perfect memory, but he's still an idiot. Like,
yes, Borenson. He's got his redeeming moments, doesn't he? Ah, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on to predictions.
Okay. I thought sometime in this book, Mirima was gonna have. We see her struggle with Dogbane once, I think, and I thought she was gonna have to. There's gonna be and there might still be a big kind of character defining moment where she has to kind of just grit her teeth and hide the fact that she's a wolf lord for some reason, and that Dogbane perhaps doesn't affect her. I don't know. That just it seemed like a really cool little concept for like a scene or an idea that I had that the writer in me just wants to see that explored. Let's see. As far as other predictions go, I mentioned that I had originally thought that Spring was going to be Raj Otten was going to be the warrior of the earth. Looks at this moment like it's going to be Spring. I think Averin is going to actually further. I just realized this. I just had this idea. She's going to further explore her connection with Spring, and that it turns out these deadly, 1-inch punches that Spring is capable of doing and felling mages and everything, that Averin might have some sort of connection with her, and it will be able to also do similar things, perhaps, if not the exact same thing. Trace runes in the air and then strike a blow with the force of 1,000 punches or something like that. I would love to see a little 9-year-old girl on the battlefield just laying waste to her enemies. That would be fucking awesome, I think.
I mean, she is the first to name Spring after Binisman, right?
Yeah. Again, it took me so long to realize that was Binisman's wild. It took me so long to realize that. I think Raj Otten's going to have a lot more importance along the way going forward. I think he's going to be a central key, if you will, a central device in uniting a huge portion of mankind against this threat. Other than that, maybe more will come to me, but that's about it. That's all the predictions I have for now.
What is the status of his army? I mean,
well, his army in Karis is now the Borns. Because they're all chosen.
What does he even have now? I mean,
well, he still has all the countries of Interpol. He has armies that he hasn't brought up yet. But he is like kind of a wreck at the end of this. His body was basically destroyed between the.
He was humbled.
I
think that's the most important thing
and
to focus on.
The wild punching him in the sternum, and so his body like heals, of course, but it was so ravaged that it's like healed in weird ways. His knee is all messed up now, and
which is kind of what we saw happen to his shoulder, I think, after his fight with King Orden in book 1.
A little bit.
Which, by the way, if there's ever, can I just say, if there's one scene that I kind of want to see in a movie, it is Raja 10 versus like the 8 Invincibles or whatever.
Oh, how sick would that be?
Oh yeah. And I have to say, the Invincibles were a little disappointing this time around because they were built up to be these ultimate like immortal being fighting machine that we saw in book 1.
Invincibles. But then you have to put it in perspective. Against a common man, they are like the lowest Invincible they say has 20 endowments.
Okay.
At least 20
combined, like
Raja 10 has like 30 or 40,000.
Yeah, I suppose.
And although these guys were
only
like
so many of
Hakim and Mashket, like they were like he says they were some of his best, that they had over 100 endowments each. So like these guys are
they're serious fighting, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like, there's only so many that Raj Otten, like, he only has so many endowments of metabolism. He's only so fast he could be. Wouldn't it make sense for him to have a few Invincibles that have, like, 10 or 20?
Okay, I have a point about Raj Ten's metabolism. Where the hell did he get his metabolism in this book? The last book ended with the tree branch falling on his wagon and killing his vector. He had 6 endowments of metabolism, and his vector died.
It wasn't just 1 or 2 of his.
No, it's his vector. He specifically names the guy, and he says at the end of the book, he's like, "I have no metabolism anymore. I'm a warrior of unfortunate proportion." And now suddenly at Karis, he has 6 endowments again.
Whoa, mind blown! I had forgotten about that little detail. Thanks for bringing that up. Shit, that's more food for thought.
Yeah, that I think that's a plot hole. I think that was
Oh, you think it's a plot hole? It's not something that's good. It's not just food for thought for a later plot revelation.
No, not at all. Like he doesn't have any
Okay.
forcibles. He lost his forcibles at Longmont. He
Yeah, he's
hasn't
pissed
gone
off
back
about
home
that.
to get more.
That's why he went chasing down Gaborn in the first place.
Like I think David Farland forgot that he took his endowments of metabolism away.
Shit. Speaking on Gaborn really quickly, I had a prediction about Gaborn that I wanted to get to as well.
Sure.
He has a moment where he's okay. Bennisman asks Gaborn, "You may have to give up some that you have chosen. Is that what you feel?" And Gaborn says, "At this moment, or at least from Gaborn's point of view, the narrative says at this moment he could not accept death." And I feel like that's eventually something that Gaborn is going to have to learn to accept. It's something that he's going to have to learn to command. Like he's going to have to accept the sacrifice of some that he's chosen. He can't protect everybody, and he's going to have to learn how to make those kinds of decisions. Because at the moment, he still seems to be following his heart and just every little instinct, protective instinct that comes to him.
He's left literally powerless in Earth powers because he chose the wrong person and then tried to kill them. So
yeah, or maybe he didn't choose the wrong person, and maybe just trying to kill them was wrong. You never know. I don't know. This is only
Also
book
true.
2. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I think we should wrap up. If anybody has any kind of final thoughts, last notes, or anything you want to touch on before you go into the final draft.
Endowments. It's just speaking about the magic system in general. Endowments, that is specifically a thing of men. Reavers are not capable of endowing attributes to one another. They're intelligent, are they not?
Find out.
Read and find out. Okay, because there's this Reaver mage that keeps hissing from so far away. I get the impression that it's like kilometers away, or miles for the Americans in here.
All I'll say on this is that the Reaver mages are described as having runes burned into their heads.
Okay, because that seems like an endowment of voice, the fact that you could hear it from so far away, but maybe it's just me being really suspicious about little tiny details in the magic system. Again, just because of what Brandon Sanderson has done to me. I'm really, really suspicious about the minutia of magic systems.
Yeah.
So I'll read and find out, okay.
I do think the Fel Mage, though, like that was just an effect of her magic.
Okay.
That was like part of her spell is like how loud and effective it was, that it hit everybody within miles. So
I also wanted to point out again on the magic system. I was noting that even in Roland, his dreaming state, there was a moment where he was kind of just I guess he was dreaming, or hallucinating perhaps. I was kind of half asleep myself when I heard this. But Gaborn's telepathic connection to those that he's chosen, it seems to transcend that dreaming state. And even in his dream or whatever hallucination he was having, he still heard Gaborn's orders to flee.
Yes. Well, it was like the choosing is what pulled him out of this, like,
Oh, well, it was the choosing, the actual act of it that pulled. Okay, cool. That makes a little more sense to me now. But I just wanted to, that's a really cool point about the magic system that I originally wanted to note how it functions. I don't know. Either of you guys, Drew, Jarrod, any other closing thoughts that you wanted to bring up?
Jarrod?
I have nothing major.
So I have one point, and it does again touch on endowments, and just from like not so much like a literary critic standpoint, just from a reader standpoint, it is so cool. It is so damn cool. He does a great job at instilling a sense of like wonder and awe, and specifically in this book, it's Sir Langley.
Okay.
It's Orwin's champion. This guy, he's given 2,000 endowments. And these little descriptions here and then where it talks about how he's wearing like 100 pounds of armor and he wears it like it's nothing. And like he's like constantly like, all right, let's go, let's get him. And like all the descriptions about him are there to incite wonder and awe in the reader. And it does such a good job, like trying to put this Superman in perspective. He has 2,000 endowments.
Yeah.
Like,
but still, compared to Raj Otten,
it's just cool. Like, this is going back to Brandon Sanderson, like, not that I'm saying that he got this from Brandon Sanderson, but one of Brandon Sanderson's, he's got his laws of magic. He calls it what he calls the 0th law, and it is err on the side of awesome.
Err on the side of awesome. I haven't heard that specific
awesome
one. I've heard 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
I haven't heard any mention of a 0th. That sounds pretty cool.
It's like when you're building your magic system, whatever, you're building your plot, and you're trying to like find limits and things, but you're like, oh well, what about this or this? He says, choose the more awesome way. And
yeah.
And that is absolutely what David Farland has done with this magic system. He made it awesome. That's
one of the things that I love so much about David Farland now. And that one of the reasons he's one of my, at this point, one of my favorite authors currently working in fantasy is the fact that he can make this spectacle, not just this awesome action, this climax, but this spectacle that's just, it fits in this kind of cinematic mind's eye that you can have. And it flows so well. And like Jarrod, you brought up earlier, how there's specific things now that you can say that, yes, I've thought about this. I would love to see that specific scene on the big screen. Mm-hmm. That would be awesome. And the fact that an author can provide you with moments like that, that'll give you that specific thought, is a big accomplishment, I think. Mm-hmm. Farland is a very cinematic, spectacular, and I mean that in its literal sense, not its denotative sense, or it's not its connotative sense, I should say. The spectacle in his scenes are very, very, they shine brightly, if that's the term I want to use there. They're very, very good to read.
So, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up discussion here on Brotherhood of the Wolf, which I think we all greatly enjoyed, yes? Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
So, a note for our listeners, the next couple of episodes, we will be taking a break from the Runelords, and we're going to be covering Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson.
Yes, our second Sanderson book.
Yeah, and we're going to have a couple of new special guests for that, so you'll have to wait and see who shows up for that.
Yeah. Warbreaker is a book that I can come from this angle. Like, I have read Warbreaker 50 times. Like, I know that book back to front so many times over that I won't be me coming in with predictions. I'll be a lot more well versed on this particular volume upon which we're basing the next episode.
Yeah, so we'll dive back into the Runelords and we'll finish Wizardborn and Lair of Bones, which conclude the Earth King arc of the Runelords series. So yeah, if you're not interested in Brandon Sanderson, I'm sorry. We're going back to him. We're going back to the Cosmere. But
we'll be doing that quite often during this podcast.
Yeah, right. But I think now we should dive into the final draft.
Let's do it. Let's dive into the final draft.
Right, so Jarrod,
who's starting?
Jarrod, what have you
Share
been
with the class
today?
I brought something new today that I've never tried before. It just looked, honestly, the can looked interesting, so I chose it. This is a sour from Dyad.
Judging a book by its cover, I see.
New Image Brewing, sorry. It's called Dyad. Oh. It is a kombucha.
Kombucha? Oh, interesting. That's like the I'm sorry, guys. It's the like kind of it's like fermented tea or something like I don't know exactly what it is. It's like fermented fruit tea or something.
This is from New Image Brewing. It's a kombucha.
New Image Brewing? Okay.
Brett Saison.
Ooh. Okay.
Drew explained what kombucha is because I didn't know.
I don't even really know that well. It's like fermented fruit tea or something like that. It's like a new agey thing.
The shit to come up with.
So anyway,
is it a hipster thing? Is that what it is?
The end result is it's a sour, quite good. Check it out.
Yeah. There it is. Oh, nice black. Is that a white heart it has on it?
I don't know what that is.
It's like a little cloud or something.
Yeah.
What is that symbol?
Anyway.
Oh, okay.
All right, Rob. What are you drinking?
I have been drinking one of my old favorites that I keep forgetting exists, and then I see it and I go, "Oh, that's right. This is a Belgian Moon, straight up standard Belgian Moon. It's a very citrusy beer. It's 5.4% Belgian style wheat ale, Belgian white. That's what it says here.
It's called Belgian Moon.
Yeah, it's called Belgian Moon. Yes.
It's Blue Moon.
You don't have this down there?
No, it's Blue Moon. It's Blue Moon down here.
Oh,
it must
you have
be branded
Blue Moon down there.
It's
yeah,
the exact same can.
It's Belgian Moon. Look at that.
Yeah, it's the exact same can and design and everything. It's just called Blue Moon.
Look at this.
Here.
Look how thick. Look how opaque it is. It looks like it's just orange. It looks like orange juice.
Yeah.
You can't even see the carbonation, but it's very, very citrusy.
Have you ever tried it with a slice of orange in it?
No. It feels like it's already had an orange squeeze into it, but I would try it with. I definitely
Oh,
That's something to consider. I'm going to try that.
game changer, bud. Game changer.
Blue Moon holds
Yeah?
the honor of the first illegal beer I ever had in a bar.
That was my
What?
cousin Pat chiming in.
Yeah, that's a shout out to Pat, by the way. He's going to be our sound engineer on this podcast. I don't know if we've actually mentioned his name during an episode yet.
I think we give him one shout out, but
And now
we'll
I'm
continue to
freezing
give him
again.
shout outs because he's doing excellent work for us.
Woo!
Yeah,
and he'll,
it's a
he'll
huge
be
undertaking.
in on future episodes as well.
Yeah, he will. I look
That's
forward to
right.
it.
Yeah. So for my beer today,
Yes, let's get to this.
Oh god.
Rob mentioned a specific line at the end of the book, and I'm going to actually read this off here. If I can find it. Let's see here. It's from Mirima's point of view.
I could even play the audio for this.
And
Go for it.
And Rajaten is severely injured, and he's on the ground, and everybody's trying to convince Gaborn to let them kill him, and he won't. And Mirima goes back up to him because her arrow is still in his knee, and she says, "I'll thank you for the return of my arrow," nodding toward the shaft.
She wants him to
Rajaten's
know
hand.
that she hit him.
She wanted him to know that it was her shaft that had scored on him for all the good it
Yeah,
had
she
done.
does.
Rajaten climbed to his feet, presented the arrow, and answered in a seductive tone, "Anything for a beautiful woman." She took the arrow and surreptitiously sniffed at him to catch his scent, so that if she ever needed to track him, she'd be able to do so. And then Rajaten says, "I have but 3 words for you, young woman. Wolf, lord, bitch." And the beer I drank today
Yes!
is from Dogfish Head in Delaware. It is a stout brewed with honey called Bitch's Brew.
Oh, nice. Zing. I like it. I don't know how you keep finding these
Brew
thematically
with his
appropriate
themed
beers.
beers.
Oh my god.
So, cheers, guys.
That was awesome. Cheers, man. I'm going to
Cheers.
slam the rest of this one right now and finish off my second beer. I had one already. Here we go, boys. Farland.
Gotta get the sound, Jared. Come on, this is a podcast.
That disgusting shit that's always left at the bottom of the glass. What is that, yeast?
Yeah, it's wheat. It's wheat sediment. It's an
that's
unfiltered
wheat
beer.
sediment? Oh, now I'm significantly less disgusted by it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think that's the conclusion of the final draft. And
Sweet.
yeah, so we are now finished with Brotherhood of the Wolf, and we'll be going into Warbreaker next time. So, as usual, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. It's been awesome. I love doing this. Let's do this so regularly.
Absolutely. We'll catch you next time.
Bye everyone.
See you later, guys. Till next time.